Welcome to the program, America. Your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, Brother Craig. And hey, this is the really real deal. So honored and privileged to be here. It's been a great Christmas season. The big day is over, and here we're now counting down to a new year, 2020. My goodness, I can remember being a little kid and thinking about the year 2000 and thinking, oh, wow, how old would I be? I was 39 when the year 2000 came, but I can remember being a little kid and thinking about the future in that way. And the new year is sort of a time when we do that type of thing. We had what I thought was, and what many people have said was a really good program last week, the week before Christmas. And one of the things I talked about was I saw a man dressed as Santa Claus, and I was wondering to myself why no one ever dressed like Jesus. And then I had to catch myself and say, well, people do that all the time. They just don't dress up in an outward way like Jesus. They dress up in an inward way like Jesus by being the hands, the feet, the heart, and the mind of Christ. And so now here we are with a new year on the horizon, and one of the themes that I discuss quite often are sins of omission and sins of commission, things that people do that should not be done, and things that people do not do that perhaps if they really, really thought about it, they would realize in their heart of hearts, yeah, I should do that, And so I think one of the keys is that the Holy Spirit does not shout at us. Now, the devil will shout, but the Holy Spirit whispers. And so it's sometimes you have to quiet yourself and in order to hear what the Holy Spirit would have you do. And that's one way to avoid committing sins of omission, because that nagging little voice is telling you, you should do that. And really, it works in the same way that a little voice tells you should not do X, Y, Z. But we're talking more about things in the public domain right now, because one of the things I want to get to in today's program would be it's list time, okay? And everyone has their favorite list of things for the year. And so I have declared the year 2019 the year of fakery, okay? And so my list is going to be the list of what's fake and the list of what's real, okay? And so here we have a nation that's roiled with division, and we have many people, they're clutching their pearls, and they're just, all this division and all this hatred and, Republicans and Democrats. Why can't they all just get along, okay? You sound like Rodney King. Okay, can't we all just get along? No. Don't take this the wrong way, folks, but this is the honest truth. No, we can not all just get along, okay? We have never been able to all just get along. And if you think about it, and I don't mean this as an insult, okay, but it's really a childish thought, okay? Why can't we all just get along? You can never, ever find a time in human history when we all just got along. Right there in the Garden of Eden, brother killed brother, okay? And there was no gun to control, all right? Brother killed brother right from the get-go, okay? So don't hand me this stuff about can we all just get along. What we need to do is make sure we're on the winning side, because everything in life comes in twos. And I'm going to repeat myself here, but there are only two visions of life, one with God and one with self, or one without God, or one with the true God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, and one with a fake God, okay, something that someone has made up to deceive you. And there's only those two. And your rights and your freedoms, they are a gift from the one true God, the God that created you and everything in existence, or it's the law of the jungle. And so how do you view yourself and how do you view humanity? What is your worldview? Okay? Now, if you view humanity as the law of the jungle, there is no God, you're an atheist, okay? Or you're a nominal Christian because, you know, you learn some good social habits by going to church. You learn how to be a good little boy, all right? And look, trust me, there are people like that. They're only going to take their Christian faith so far, all right? And so, and the way they live their lives, they might want to be nice, kind, respectful, you know, as far as that goes, but they're not going to believe all in, and they're not going to believe that there is an afterlife and answering to the life that they've led. Okay, nor are they going to believe, and this is an interesting thought, when you have people that don't believe in the afterlife or heaven and hell. And so, you know, some people believe, oh yeah, well, yeah, I guess there was a God. I mean, after all, you know, everything had to get created, and you know, the Big Bang, I guess if we're going to have the Big Bang theory, someone had to lit the fuse. And so the one that lit the fuse, that's God. Or as Star Wars would say, may the force be with you, the force, okay? But not a God with whom one can have a personal relationship, which, you know, to believe in a God with whom one can have a personal relationship, you pretty much have to have the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the person of the Holy Spirit. Okay, that third part of the Godhead. You would have to really necessarily believe that, and in order to believe that, you would have to necessarily believe in Jesus Christ. Okay, and so you have these two visions, one with that belief and one without that belief. One that says you're endowed by your creator, as our founders put in the Declaration of Independence. You are endowed by your creator with rights that they call inalienable, meaning that because God gave them to you, no human being can take them from you. And if they do that, they are in violation of law. Okay. And so they can do it in the physical sense, but they cannot do it legitimately, because that is a function of usurping the power and authority of God. That's one view. The other view is, no, Brother Craig, there is no God. That's all a fairy tale, you know, and it's all fine and dandy. I'm in favor of you Christians being nice people, because that means you're going to show up and come to work for me, and you're not going to steal my stuff, or you're not going to mess with my wife or my daughter. So that's all fine and dandy. Now, I mean, there are people that think like this now. Don't kid yourself, okay? Do not kid yourself. There are people that think this way. But when you boil it all down, these people believe in the power of government, because their view is that, yes, your fellow human being does have the right to dictate to you what the limits of your power and your freedom are, because it's all based on power. And it's like we're just animals. We're just animals. And so in the jungle, they have a certain type of law. Okay, the biggest animal, the most powerful animal, the fastest animal, the one with the longest teeth, the most vicious, that animal is going to dominate. Okay, and so in case you're wondering why we have all these vicious politicians, okay, why we have a vicious religion that insists upon cutting off people's heads, subjugating women, would throw acid in the face of a little girl because she wants to become educated. Okay, so they certainly can't have people being self-thinkers. These fundamentalist Muslims, they can't have that. You may decide for yourself you no longer want to be a Muslim. Okay, and so in their world, that is apostasy, and that is punishable by death, because God did not give you your rights. The people in power gave you your rights. And if the people in power give you something, the people in power have the power and legitimate authority to take away what they gave you. So why, in the name of God, would you ever ask a power or entity to take control over giving you things when that necessarily entails that the same power that giveth has the power to taketh away? We're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back.
Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Welcome back to the program, folks. Your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, Brother Craig, coming right back at you here on the Really Real Deal. And hey, 2019 closing out, and I have dubbed 2019 the year of fakery. And so in our first segment, I basically talked about the fake God. Okay, you got, and again, life consists of choosing. Okay. And that's old wise saying. I think I read this from Balthasar Gracian, who wrote a book. Oh, gosh, what was the title of that book? Well, the title of the book escapes me. The author was Balthasar Gracian, who was a contemporary of Machiavelli. Okay, and he was Spanish. The title is going to come to me soon. But it was a book of aphorisms. And one of the sayings was about choices. Okay. And it says, consider the bee and the fly. The bee chooses to land on nectar. The fly chooses to land on dung. Okay. So, and that's, I mean, that just sums it up. Life consists of choices, and we all have choices to make in life. And so, the first thing of the year of fakery, 2019, the year of fakery, is the fake God, Baal worship, Molech, and what all of that, Ashtoreth, what all of that entails is, if you go back into the history of ancient Israel, this involved child sacrifice. This involved tremendous sexual improprieties. Is, I guess that's a mild way to put it, but all types of sex literally in their temples. Okay, and so they worshipped sex. Okay, and so I mean all types of. I don't want to get into it too much. I think but money, power. Nothing to do with integrity or following any type of rule of laws that God would have set forth, okay, which Israel would have been familiar with, okay. They would have been very familiar with God's ways, but you had this divide in Israel, and more people were choosing Baal. Okay, they were choosing Baal, and this is the same thing we have today. So you have the real God and you have the fake God. And so now, what has made the news in the year 2019? Fake impeachment. Okay, fake Russia collusion. All right, so you have these people literally lie. Okay, and this is the thing about it. These are not stupid people, all right? And so one of the things that and it kind of galls me in a sense to hear this over and over again by people that by now really should know better, okay? They really, really should know better. And the thing about it, the nation gets to this point in time every 4 generations like clockwork. Just like every 4 seasons you have winter, okay? They come in the same order every year, okay? Spring followed by summer, followed by autumn, followed by winter, okay? Rinse and repeat. It's so on a larger scale, intergenerationally, this doesn't take 365 days the way 1 year takes with 4 seasons. All right. It takes on average 84 years, with each generation being the amount of time it takes a person to go from birth to adulthood, 21 years. Okay. So that would be the first cycle, or the spring, if you will, like you're in the spring of your life. Okay. From birth to being an adult. All right. So from age 21 to age 42, another 21 years, that would be the summertime of your life. Things are hot and heavy and there's wild growth. Okay. So from age 42 to 63, you're in middle age. Things are mellowing out. Now you have wisdom. You've accumulated a little money. Okay. And passion and desire is not pulling at you quite as hard as it did in the summer. Okay. So that's the autumn. And also autumnally, that's when things begin to unravel. And on an annual basis, you'll see the leaves would begin to fall in the autumn. The breezes come in a little cooler. It's letting you know that pretty soon it's going to get cold. But right now it's kind of pleasant, nice, cool autumn day, beautiful colors everywhere. Autumn. Okay. And many people have written and spoken of this time of your life as the best part of life, okay? Because, old age hasn't set in where nothing wants to cooperate with you. Your neck, your back, your feet, your knees, everything hurts. That hasn't come in yet. But then the hot passion of youth, that's over with, okay? Where you make mistakes because, you're not thinking properly, because maybe you're thinking with hormones rather than with the good sense that God gave you. But so that final season, that final 21 years, and the average lifespan is right around that time. Okay. Now, many people do get to live beyond and get some will even get a complete fifth 21 years. Like my grandmother is 100 now. Okay. So, but that's old age. And so, if you take that structure, that fourfold structure of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and the same thing in your personal life of youth, middle age, or childhood, young adult, middle age, and elder, and apply that to the society, you have a springtime America. And let's look at the cycle that we're in now, because we're closing one out and we're beginning another. And this is what's going to take me up to the reason for the fakery. It's because it's time for it, okay? It's time for evil and liars and division, because it happens like clockwork, because you have one system leaving and another one trying to be born. Just like the year is in, you have this year ending 2020 trying to be born, okay? So you had, after the last great crisis was the Depression and World War II, and that was resolved in our favor, okay? The Allies won, the Axis powers lost, okay? Churchill, Roosevelt, all the Allies, we were the victors, all right? Hitler, Hirohito, Mussolini, the Muslims, they were the losers. All right. They were the losers. And so when you go from, 1946 and now it's springtime America, because the last winter was over. And so the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, that was springtime America. OK, America ruled the world. All right. America was, superpower, the greatest economic engine. I mean, all of the cars were American, all of the TVs were American, all of the radios were American, everything was American, okay? I mean, if something had a label on it made in Japan, it was a little trinket, might cost you $2. All right. I mean, I can remember seeing old video footage of Japanese coming here after they had been vanquished by us, and we're, magnanimously trying to build them up as we did Germany and the rest of Europe. And they're coming over here, with their Western clothes on and notepads, and they're taking notes, learning how to be industrious and in order to do trade so that you can gain power by creating something and having something to give in exchange for what you want, rather than creating a war machine and going out and taking what you want. Okay. And so there was a tremendous accomplishment that our society had. And so springtime America was in charge. Okay. Summertime America, the next 20 some odd years, things are starting to get hot and heavy. You start to have riots. Why? Because springtime America, like all of humanity, was not perfect. And these imperfections, they percolated up as society heated up. And so you had racial strife. You had strife between unions and management, or unions and ownership, okay, over division of the economic pie, okay? And so you had all of this type of thing going on, all right? So autumnal America comes along in the 90s. Things begin to unravel. And what you have is the attacks on the moral fiber of this nation. Now, it's still kind of pleasant. You still have, America is still doing well. And if you're really not paying attention, you would not know that these things were going on, And now I'm up against a break, but just hold tight, because when we come back, we're going to complete the story of how this cycle comes full fold, repeats itself, and why right now the two sides in America are fighting each other like we do every 4 generations.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
And we are back, folks. And now I want to complete the thought that I was sharing with you prior to the break, that again, every 4 generations this happens. And so you go from springtime America, and I'm dealing with just this particular cycle, which the cycle, by the way, is called a saculum. Okay, and a saculum is like a precursor word to century, because time, you don't read in the Bible where they talked about these are the centuries of old. It said these are the generations of old. And so time was counted by generations, okay? This one begot that one. Generations, okay? 4 generations completes a cycle. And another interesting thing about a saculum is the amount of time that it takes for a population to be replaced, okay? And so these are key words and phrases that we need to be aware of, because you best believe our enemies are aware of what these things mean, okay? The Democrat leadership, they know what a saculum is. They know about population replacement. Okay, certainly all the aggressive powers on the planet know about population replacement. Okay, and time. Okay, and so this is one of the things that we see people trying to take something that naturally happens. A population is always going to be replaced every 4 generations, just by simply elders dying and new babies being born. So this is naturally going to happen. But they're trying to speed it up by causing more death of native-born Americans and fewer native-born babies being born, and an increase in people that were born in other places with other ideas, that worship other gods, that believe in other political systems. Okay? And so this is not, it's like a somewhat pleasant thing to say, I love all this diversity because we got, You can eat all these different foods, and they dress a certain way, and they have a certain culture, and they bring spice to life, and all that's true, okay? That's true, all right? But when you boil it all down, folks, you bring in people from chaotic societies that lend themselves to being ruled by an iron fist. You bring people who are malleable. You bring people who are illiterate. You bring people who are dependent on government. And remember how I started this about the choice between the real God, the Lord of the worlds, and the fake God. Is like the big G and the little g. The big G is God. The little g is government. And so when you take the real God out of the picture, that vacuum gets filled by people who claim that I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Okay? And I think it was Ronald Reagan who said those were the most fearsome words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. They never say I'm here to enslave you. They say I'm here to help you. Okay? And so this brings me back to my point about this battle that we're engaged in and the reason for all of this fakery and why 2019 is the year of fakery. All right. And it's because it's warfare. And the weapon of choice this go round is information. It's an information war. Okay. Strategic indirect warfare, because there's no power on earth that can bring a warship over here and defeat the United States of America, because our warships are bigger, better, faster. We have more bombs. We have more technology to take people out. OK, this is why the September 11th attack, you know, it was not a fighter squadron, you know, the way it was in Pearl Harbor. OK, it was not ships. OK. It was some people who were armed with nothing more than box cutters and very dark hearts. That's all. Box cutters and dark, evil hearts with intent, like soldiers. Okay? And so this is, we get to this place where we have to fight every 4 generations. Okay. And so just like when you're dealing with what a saculum is, and it's about population replacement, people dying, people being born. And so what the Democrats have done is they've gotten control of education. And so the people that are elders that are dying out, they have certain ideas that the youth do not have. Why is that? 2 things: sin of omission and sin of commission. The sin of omission, that happens first. We fail to teach these things to our children. So now if I fail to put into my garden the plants and the vegetables that I desire to have, I can't complain when the garden produces weeds. Because had I done my part, which is to till and prepare the soil and then to place in the proper place the plants that I desire, I would have a garden. Okay, but I fail, then the sin of commission comes in, which is natural because the soil contains weed seeds. And so without any help from any form of evil, they will just produce weeds. Now, add to that the fact that we have enemies. And again, we have enemies who understand these dynamics. And so they work with these things to help defeat us. And so they know they can plant the opposite idea in your child. It's like, okay, you're not going to teach your child how to, love and honor and be a good mother, father, husband, wife. Well, I know what I'll do. I'll teach your child that gender is malleable. They can be whatever. You see, if you were teaching your child, they would not be able to teach your child. And so the two, it's like yin and yang. They work hand in hand. The sin of omission has to happen first in order for the sin of commission. Okay? Because you cannot take over that which is strong, that which is fortified, that which is well taught, that which is well reared, that which is centered in Christian faith. You can't take that over. And so these people, they've been like termites, gnawing year after year, decade after decade. And this has just built up steam. And so, and it gets to the place where you go through the springtime America, everything is great. The summertime America is hot and heavy. The autumnal America, things are beginning to unravel. In the America of winter, in which we're in right now, where the battle is on. And one side is going to win and one side is going to lose. And I don't know about you, but I'm in agreement with Ronald Reagan. He said that he prays that there would never come a day when he would have to sit his grandson on his knee and say, let me tell you, son, what it used to be like in America when men were free. I don't know about you out there, but I refuse to have that conversation with my grandchildren. I'm not going to tell them how it used to be when men were free. I want to maintain my freedom. And my grandchildren are going to outlive me. Your grandchildren are going to outlive you. So if you don't want to do this for yourself, you need to do it for your grandchildren. So now back to my subject here of the year of fakery, the fake Russia collusion. And all of this is to get rid of Donald Trump, because for the first time in my life, and yes, I'm including Ronald Reagan, okay, because Ronald Reagan I love Reagan, don't get me wrong, but none of us is perfect. I'm not, Trump is not, Reagan was not perfect. He was the best. Up until Trump, he was the best in my lifetime in particular. But he was a nice guy. And we cannot be nice guys. I mean, you don't send a Boy Scout to fight a knife fight in an alley. You just don't do that. You got to send a man. That's why the word of God in the book of Kings, when God wanted Jezebel taken out, he sent Elisha to go and tell Jehu, and he told him, look, I want you to tell Jehu he's going to be king, and then run. Why? Jehu was vicious. And that's what's needed. And we complain about Trump's viciousness. And he's not vicious in an evil way. He's from a different world. He's from a rough and tumble world of business. And he fights back. And in his fighting back, it's easy for people that don't look deeply into things, which we who are men and women of God, if there's anyone that's going to look deeply into things, to have something called a spirit of discernment, certainly it should be us. Certainly it should be us. We should have a spirit of discernment. If you don't have one, pray to God for it. Any good thing you ask of the Lord, it will be given. Pray for a spirit of discernment, and you will begin to see Donald J. Trump in a different light. And you will begin to see what is lacking in candidates that do not bring his toughness, that do not tote a set of onions, okay? We need Christians to be onion toters, okay? We do not need celery and tofu Christians. We do not need celery and tofu Republicans. We do not need decaffeinated conservatives, almost an oxymoron. We need onion toters. We need real men, real women, those that love their grandchildren more than they love being well spoken of by the opposition. Lindsey Graham, my friend across the aisle. You don't have a friend across the aisle. And so this fake Russia collusion, the collusion was real by the Democrats. And you have Republicans defending against fake collusion while not prosecuting the real collusion. Who do you see in an orange jumpsuit? Hillary Clinton, the FBI, the Intel? They colluded with the British. They colluded with Steele. And I call him Mr. Steele. I mean, his name is Christopher, but the name Christopher is based on Jesus Christ. He is not of Christ. He is of his father, the devil. Mr. Steele, the fake dossier. Oh, the Russians have a video of Donald Trump hiring some prostitutes to pee on the bed. Only a demonic person would even make something up like that. Somebody going to pee on a bed just because Obama slept in the bed. It's stupid on the face of it. And this was supposedly Russian collusion when the Democrat Party have been colluding with Russia forever and a day. Have you never heard of after the Rosenbergs? They colluded with Russia to give them the secrets to the atomic bomb. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama colluded with Russia to give them the materials to make bombs with uranium. The Uranium One scandal. And in exchange, the Clintons got $140 million donated to the Clinton Foundation. This is provable on paper, and I don't hear the Republicans talking about it. I just hear them on defense. We're going to take our final break of the day, and we'll be right back to finish up.
This is a man's world. This is a man's world.
Welcome back to the program, folks. Your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, Brother Craig here. Our final segment of today's program. I do want to remind you just heard the giving ad. If you think what I do is of any kind of value to you, if you'd like to have me hanging around when your grandchildren are, have inherited the baton of leadership from you, because, again, we're not going to live forever. And if you want to have an influence over the world that your grandchildren will inherit, you got to do that right now, folks. I'm sorry. You got to do it now, okay? You might not get a chance to do it next week, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You got to do that right now. Please make sure your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, and even this version of me that's sometimes not so friendly, make sure I'm hanging around, okay? And I ask you, please support us. We're having an end-of-year drive. We ran a financial deficit this year that we really need to get rectified so that we can continue to bring you truth that you can use. And what I talk about biblical truth, historical truth, scientific truth, mathematical truth, okay? 1 + 1 = 2. It does not equal 11. It does not equal what you need it to. It does not equal what you want it to. It does not equal what might be fair. It equals what it equals. And that's how I bring it, folks. And I don't care who gets offended by that. And ditto, talking about science, okay? A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. It doesn't get any more basic science than that. Life begins when sperm meets egg, period. And it begins cell division. That's the beginning of life. That is science. And these liars out here, they will tell you, oh, we discovered life on Mars. There's some bacteria. But a human baby in the womb, and you can see the feet moving and the woman's stomach is moving. Oh, well, that's not life. That's a mass of cells. That doesn't deserve to live. That thing is inconveniencing the woman. The woman has a right to control her body. That is what they say. If that offends you, tough. And if you need someone around to speak truth to power, there is no one. And I challenge you to find someone that's been speaking truth to power as toughly and as effectively as your friendly neighborhood hatchet man, Brother Craig. And I'm going to toot my horn for just one moment here. Please forgive me. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm the only news analyst in the entire United States of America that accurately predicted the trifecta of first, second, and third place in the Republican presidential primary in 2016. Donald J. Trump, the winner. Ted Cruz, the last of the other 17 to go down, and Dr. Ben Carson. And I further wrote that Ben Carson will be the first of the three to fade away, okay? Nothing wrong with Ben, but he's too soft-spoken, okay? He's smart, he's right on the issues, but in tense times like we live in, America tends to want an onion toter. And in the last 4 winters of the Soculum, we had George Washington, okay, Revolutionary War, kill or be killed. Major change. The world's lone superpower was defeated. 4 generations later, we had Abraham Lincoln, okay, again, a wartime president, tough, preserved the Union, bent some rules, but got the job done, all right? The Union was preserved. And again, freedom was expanded again. Okay? The George Washington freedom got expanded to include blacks. Okay? And this was the Republicans against the Democrats. 4 generations later, this time expands around the world, and it's the Nazis. It's Hitler, Hirohito, Mussolini. Okay? And they want to do what the South was doing to slaves. They want to do that to the whole world. And again, it was kill or be killed. And FDR broke some rules too. But again, got the job done. And so here we are now, 4 generations after World War II. And it's always on time. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can whine, you can cry. Ooh, Hatchet Man, I wish it would go away. Oh, why can't they get along? Those folks in Washington, Republicans, are just as bad as the Democrats. Oh, shut up. Stop whining, stop crying. This happens every 4 generations. And 4 generations from now, if the Lord hadn't come back by then and we're still at it, we're going to be at each other. Our great-great-grandchildren will be doing this again. And so the thing to do is to understand it, accept it, and work with it. Just like you do, you understand the 4 seasons, you work with the 4 seasons, and that's how you survive winter, because you don't go out in the snow dressed in Bermuda shorts and flip-flops. Because of your understanding, you cooperate with it, and you know, okay, it's 15 degrees and there's snow on the ground. I need to put on my thermal underwear, my boots, and my overcoat. All right? So anyway, back to my subject, the year of fakery and the battle that we're in. And you look at when we're at war again, okay? And we have to win it again. Now, we won it against the British, and freedom was established. We won the Civil War, freedom was expanded. We won World War II when freedom was under threat worldwide, and we beat it back. We didn't kill it, we didn't eliminate it, but we beat it back. And we have to win this one. We have to. And again, if you value the future of your grandchildren, then you will support what we do here. But back to this fake collusion, okay? The uranium 140. No, I meant real collusion, okay? The fake Russia collusion is what they accuse Trump of. But Russia always sides with Democrats. The Rosenbergs were Democrats, okay? Ted Kennedy was a Democrat who went to the Soviet, not Russia. They were the Soviet Union back then. And Ted Kennedy wrote them a letter that said, look, don't pay this Ronald Reagan any attention. All right, we're the Senate. After his 8 years are up, we're going to still be here. Same thing they're trying to say about Donald Trump. Oh, don't pay this Trump any attention. We're the power here. He's not even going to get 8 years. We're going to get rid of this joker. That's what they're saying. But it's always the Democrats that collude with Russia, whether it's the Soviet Union or Russia. They collude with Iran. It was Obama that sent an airplane over to Iran in Iran in the middle of the night with pallet loads of cash. It wasn't Republicans. There was no vote in the Senate. It was done by executive order. Fake impeachment, real crimes by Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. $1.5 billion from you. No, $1.5 billion was China to Hunter Biden. $1 billion to his company from Ukraine, and $83,000 a month to him as a personal salary. Total of over $3 million. And goofball Republicans are on defense, defending. And while they're defending, no one is talking about the real crimes. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden need to be in an orange jumpsuit. Hillary Clinton needs to be in an orange jumpsuit. As a matter of fact, hers needs to be 2 sizes too small. And then give that chick a pack of cigarettes. Okay. Anyway, so you got that fakery. You got all of the fake Democrat candidates, a fake Indian, Warren, a fake Hispanic, Beto, a fake lady, Kamala, because she's really a cave cow that slept her way to the top, a fake first husband, Mr. and Mr. Buttigieg, which just encourages children more and more and more with this nonsense that causes people to literally commit suicide at tremendously high rates. All this fakery when we could have the really real deal. And unfortunately, folks, that that brings us to the end of the program. I pray that your new year is really, really blessed. And I pray that the Lord would bless you and keep you in that new year, that he would make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and that the Lord would lift his countenance up upon you and give you peace. And that has to be the final word here for 2019. I'm going to see you right here next year, folks. Same Hatchet time, same Hatchet station. God bless you.